Hi boos, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be covering a story I heard in a documentary movie from Netflix called Abducted in Plain Sight. Now this story grosses me out and you probably haven't heard anything like it. Tragic true crime case of Jan Broberg, a young girl who was kidnapped. Let's dive into the details of this shocking story. Jan Broberg was a typical 12-year-old girl living in Pocatello, Idaho in the early 1970s. Her family was close-knit, devoutly religious, and very active in their community. They befriended a neighbor, Robert Birchtold, who quickly became a close family friend. His wife and their children spent a lot of time with the Brobergs. Birchtold was charming, friendly, and seemed to genuinely care about the Broberg children, especially Jan. He often took her on outings, gave her special attention, and showered her with affection. It's the tragic true crime case of Jan Broberg, a young girl who was kidnapped.
He did give special attention to Jan that annoyed both Bob and I. His fascination with Jan was a little disturbing.
B was like a second father to me. I completely loved him, completely trusted him, and felt extremely safe. I felt like I was one of his children.
The Brobergs, trusting him completely, saw no harm in this relationship. They viewed Birchtold as a second father to Jan. On October 17, 1974, Birchtold asked Jan's parents, Mary Ann and Bob Broberg, if he could take Jan on a horseback riding trip. They agreed, believing she would be safe with him. However, Birchtold had other plans. Instead of going horseback riding, he drugged Jan and took her to a motorhome.
Birchtold had called me earlier in the day and said, I want to take Jan out horseback riding down in American Falls. Birchtold comes driving up to my house and said, okay, I'm ready to take you, Jan. She came in the back door.
I was like, oh, yes, I want to go. And my mom's like, it's a school night and you have piano and I think we should try for a different day. And he says, well, I guess I could pick her up from her piano lesson and just take her straight out. And I begged my mother, please, yes, let me go.
I said, you better be back before Bob gets home for dinner. I'll have her back.
B picked me up from my piano lesson and said, I brought your allergy pills. You know, you should take one of those before we go to the horses. Downed that, and off we went. I must have passed out pretty quickly because I have no recollection of getting to the stables, no recollection of the drive, no recollection of him.
When she didn't come home, I was a little nervous, anxious. Maybe they broke down around 9 o'clock at night. Birchtold's wife, Gail, came over, worried. And I said, maybe I should call the state police. Oh, don't do anything. I'm sure he'll be coming any minute. And so we waited. That was Thursday that they went horseback riding. We had Friday, didn't call anybody, didn't want to upset Gail.
And this went on for about 2 days. And I said, Mary Ann, we better get the law involved so we need some help to find them.
On Saturday morning, I dialed the FBI. They said, the office is closed for the weekend. If you have an emergency, call this office in Butte, Montana. I didn't follow through because I thought, I don't want to get all these people all worked up over nothing. And so we waited. Another night came and went, and then it was Sunday. Well, let's just, if they're not back by Sunday, we'll call.
When Jan woke up, she found herself restrained and heard a recording telling herself she was part of an alien mission. The recording instructed her that she needed to have a child with Birchtold to save their alien planet. Birchtold drove Jan to Mexico where he kept her for several weeks. During this time, he continued to manipulate her with the alien story, convincing her that their mission was real and that she had to comply to save her family. In Mexico, Birchtold married Jan, taking advantage of the more lenient laws there. Back in Idaho, the Broberg family was frantic. They reported Jan missing, and the FBI launched an investigation investigation. It took several weeks, but eventually the FBI tracked Berchtold and Jan to Mexico. Jan was returned to her family and Berchtold was arrested. However, the story doesn't end there. Berchtold managed to manipulate the Brobergs into signing affidavits stating that they had given him permission to take Jan, which complicated the legal case against him. He was charged with kidnapping but received a relatively light sentence and was allowed to go free. Despite the trauma of the first abduction, Berchtold maintained his hold over the Broberg family. He continued to visit them and even moved his business to be closer to them. He resumed his relationship with Jan, and the family, still under his spell, allowed it.
Berchtold, or he was in communication with me, and I would do whatever I was told to do. I would occasionally get a note from someone at school. It would say, you need to go to such and such location, to the phone booth at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and there you will receive further instructions. I would get letters from B, and it would be a love letter about what he was going through and how much he missed me and how much he knew we were meant to be together. And my natural response was to respond in kind and, write loving letters back to him and try to figure out how to get them to him.
Did you know that you're a sweetheart? If you didn't, I want you to know that you are. Our love must be pretty great. We've sure gone through a lot for each other. Your darling, Jan.
The shift from I loved this man like my father to I love him like a husband or like a man happened.
She said, Mom, I miss him so much. I want to marry him. And I said, you want to marry B? She said, yes. I want to marry him and we want to have children together.
I loved him as deeply as I've ever loved anyone. My level of commitment and love for him was as profound as anything that I have ever experienced in the realm of real love. But it was profound, it was committed, it was in me in every sense of the word. Here's a letter from B to me. I'm probably 13. Hi, darling. I awake this morning thinking of you as usual and loving you even more. I remembered you in Oliver and the night you cried when you sang Where is Love, especially for me. Remember the song from Oliver, As Long as He Needs Me, and the meaning it had in the play?
In August 1976, Berchtold abducted Jana again. This time he took her to a Catholic school in Pasadena, California, posing as her father and enrolling her under a fake name. He convinced the school officials that Jan was his daughter and that they were on the run from a dangerous situation. For several months, Berchtold kept Jan hidden, continuing to manipulate her with the alien story and reinforcing her belief that she had to stay with him to protect her family. Meanwhile, the Brobergs were desperate to find her. They reached out to the FBI again and another intense search was ensued. Eventually, the FBI tracked Berchtold and Jan down. She was rescued and returned to her family, but the emotional and psychological damage had been done. Berchtold was arrested again, but due to the affidavits and other complications, he avoided a harsh sentence. Aftermath of these events was devastating for the Broberg family. They struggled to rebuild their lives and come to terms with the betrayal and manipulation they had experienced. Jan in particular faced a long road to recovery, grappling with the trauma and the complex emotions resulting from Berchtold's abuse. Abducted in Plain Sight is a deeply unsettling documentary that sheds light on the vulnerabilities of trusting families and the devastating impact of manipulation. It's a powerful reminder of the importance of vigilance and the need to protect our loved ones from those who might seek to exploit our trust. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was informative and shed light on this shocking true crime case. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember to cherish and protect your loved ones. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more true crime stories. Until next time, boos!